Desolation opens with Abby, terrified, stumbling through the forest and calling for her son. The film then jumps back 3 days. Abby, her son Sam, and her friend Jen are hiking into the mountains so Abby can scatter the ashes of her husband Mike, who loved these trails. She hopes the trip will help her and Sam face their loss. At a lake, Sam notices a silent man across the water in sunglasses with a walking stick. When he looks again, the man is gone. Later, they find a geocache. Abby says Mike loved them, leaves a beer bottle inside, and gives Sam a diary from the box. That night, Abby and Sam scatter Mike's ashes. At camp, Sam argues with Abby. Later, she tells Jen she feels unable to handle life alone, and Sam overhears. The next day, they notice a strange backpack near their food, and Sam then spots the same man again standing at a distance and staring. Abby and Jen realize he is following them. They keep moving, but he continues trailing them in silence. That night, Sam admits he does not want to go back to their old house because it reminds him of Mike. Abby later wakes to faint music in the forest. Jen's tent has been slashed open and Jen is gone. Abby and Sam search in panic, while the film reveals the stranger nearby with bottles and tools, proving he took her. At dawn, Abby says they must leave and get help, but Sam argues that Mike would never abandon Jen. They check the map, find a cabin, and leave the main trail to reach it. Soon they hear a beeping sound. The stranger is standing nearby, holding Jen's watch. Abby threatens him with pepper spray, but he says nothing and walks away. While hiding among rocks, Abby tells Sam that if something happens to her, he must reach the cabin alone. Their grief erupts, with Sam accusing her of treating him like a child and shutting him out. She lets him stand guard, but both fall asleep. During the night, the killer attacks. He knocks Abby out, drags her away, ties her to a tree, drugs her, and cuts off her hair. Sam wakes, finds her missing, and eventually frees her, but she is barely conscious. Later, it becomes clear Jen was also tied up and killed. Before Sam can get Abby away, the killer returns and chases him off. Abby later wakes alone, finds Sam's hoodie, and fears he is dead. Sam spends the night hiding, then returns to where he left her, only to discover she is gone too. This leads back to the opening scene with Abby wandering through the forest crying for him. Remembering Abby's words, Sam heads for the cabin. Abby does too and gets there first, only to find an abandoned car with no keys. Sam later blinds the killer with bear spray and escapes. Soon, mother and son reunite. Realizing no one is coming to save them, they decide to fight back. That night, Abby pretends to sleep by the fire while Sam hides nearby. When the killer approaches, they spring their trap. He slashes Abby, but Sam hits him with a rock-filled bag and repeatedly stabs him with Mike's Swiss knife until Abby stops him. At sunrise, they search his belongings, find the car keys, and reach the car, but it still will not start. Broken and exhausted, Sam says he wants to go home. Abby embraces him, and together they begin walking out of the forest. Silent House opens with Sarah arriving at her family's isolated lakeside house with her father, John, and her uncle Peter. They have come to repair the property and sell it, but everything feels incomplete, as if something important is being hidden. Inside, John photographs a hole in the wall. Peter makes Sarah uncomfortable by commenting on how much she has grown. While the men work in the basement, Sarah hears a knock and meets Sophie, a young woman who says they were childhood friends. Sarah cannot remember her. She explains that the wiring is ruined and the house has been empty since last summer. Before leaving, Sophie asks how Sarah could ever forget her. Back inside, Sarah overhears John and Peter arguing, and Peter storms out. Soon she hears a knock, but no one is there, followed by noises upstairs. John dismisses it, yet when they check, they find photographs on a bed. He quickly hides them, claims they are just pictures, and tells Sarah to finish packing a room. Not long after, Sarah realizes John is gone. Doors slam, the exits are locked, the windows are sealed, and a shadowy figure seems to move through the house. Terrified, she runs upstairs, where something suddenly falls on her. It is John, unconscious and injured. Sarah searches his pockets for a key, but when it does not open the front door, she is forced into the basement. There, she senses someone nearby, hides, and escapes outside. On the road, she sees a little girl standing alone, and then Peter arrives. Sarah, bloody and shaken, tells him someone in the house is trying to harm them. Peter takes his gun and goes back in to help John. Sarah waits in the car until the trunk suddenly opens, and she sees a man staring at her, forcing her back into the house. Peter finds her again, and together they search for John, but he is gone, leaving only blood behind. More hidden photographs appear, and Peter reacts just as uneasily as John did. Upstairs, they find a generator running, though Peter insists he never switched it on. Then the power dies, leaving Sarah alone. Using a camera flash, she sees the little girl again, and then a frightening man moving toward her. Hiding under a table, Sarah witnesses what seems like two men taking disturbing photos of a young girl. One drags Peter's body away, away. Sarah grabs Peter's gun, fires at someone on the stairs, then hides under a bed, where she sees a teenage girl pulled out by someone unseen. Blood spreads across the bed. The bathroom walls seem to bleed. Voices surround her, and then Sophie appears again. This time, Sophie leads Sarah to a room where John is tied up and gives her a small box filled with childhood photographs. The truth is finally revealed. There was never any intruder, and Sophie is not real. Everything Sarah has seen was created by her mind after buried memories returned. As a child, she was abused in that house by John and Peter, and the hidden photos prove it. When Sarah returned, her trauma resurfaced, splitting her mind between denial, fear, and rage. She had attacked Peter and tied up John herself, while another part of her mind kept searching for them as if she were still innocent. In the end, she frees John and apologizes, but he attacks her again. Peter, badly injured, tries to stop him and admits his guilt. Overwhelmed, Sarah grabs a hammer and strikes John. Then she walks out crying, leaving behind both the house and the nightmare inside her mind. In the end, John and Peter are exposed as the real monsters, while Sarah is revealed as their innocent victim. By turning against them, she finally strikes back at the people who destroyed her life. Run, Sweetheart, Run opens with Cherie, a single mother working at a law firm. One evening, her boss, James R. Fuller, calls and blames her for double booking his anniversary dinner with an important client named Ethan. Even though Cherie remembers arranging that dinner herself, she still accepts the blame. Forced to go in James's place, she rushes home, arranges childcare for her daughter, gets dressed, and heads out, even after realizing her period has started. At Ethan's mansion, Cherie finds a polished, charming man who seems genuinely interested in her. Dinner goes well, they connect easily, and after skating together, she begins to think the night may have turned lucky. But Ethan's intense reaction to a barking dog, along with the 5:25 alarm already set on his phone, hints that something is wrong. When Cherie agrees to a drink at his house, his warmth disappears the moment the door closes, and he attacks her. She barely escapes into the night. Bruised and terrified, Cherie begs strangers for help, but no one helps. Two women outside a club call the police, yet the officers arrest her for public intoxication and lock her in a cell. There, another woman panics when she hears Ethan's name and warns Cherie that she has been marked. She says Ethan controls everything, that going home will get her found, and that only the First Lady can help. Soon, Ethan is brought directly to Cherie's cell, where he calmly promises that if she survives until morning, he will let her live. Then he begins the hunt. After seeing posters of missing women linked to the First Lady, Cherie goes to James for safety, only to learn he helped set her up. She was sent to Ethan on purpose, just like other women before her. James's wife Judy secretly helps Cherie and reveals the worst part. Ethan can track her by the scent of blood. Cherie flees on a bus, calls her ex, Trey, and survives another attack at a store by striking Ethan with a brick before escaping with Trey. Trey takes Cherie to his home, where Dawn and a few friends try to protect her. Trey's brother Norlin reads Cherie's tarot cards and says that despite signs of death, she still carries strength. That hope vanishes when Ethan arrives. Dawn and her friends arm themselves, but within moments they are gone, each one apparently taken down by their own weapon. Trey returns too late and suffers a brutal end that proves Ethan is not human. Using Judy's warning, Cherie misleads Ethan, reaches a church and learns even holy water, and a cross cannot stop him. The real priest buys her time to run. At a rave, Cherie steals a phone, calls the First Lady, and learns from a group of women that sunrise is exactly at 5:25, matching Ethan's alarm. Before they can get far, Ethan causes their car to crash, but a barking dog scares him off long enough for Cherie to escape again. She finally reaches the First Lady, Dinah, who reveals the truth. Ethan is a corrupted angel who has spent centuries protecting male power by hunting strong women, while Dinah was sent to stop him. Because Sherry is the first woman to survive him, she becomes the bait in their final plan. At dawn, after Ethan overpowers and pins her down, Cherie pretends to surrender, then breaks the glass around them just as sunlight arrives. Other women shatter the remaining panels. Sunlight weakens Ethan. Dinah sets his blood on fire, and Cherie finally returns home to her daughter. In the end, Ethan meets a brutal fate. After hunting and terrorizing women for so long, he is finally destroyed by the very strength and unity he tried to crush. Beneath Us opens with a disturbing scene deep underground, where several bodies lie lifeless and only one man remains alive, desperately banging on a locked door, begging to escape. This chilling moment hints at something far darker hidden beneath the surface. The story then follows Memo, a young Mexican man who illegally crosses into the US and reunites with his brother Alejandro, who is already struggling as an undocumented worker. Alejandro lives a harsh life, doing small jobs daily while saving money to bring his wife and son across the border. Memo, however, feels disconnected and unhappy, as if he never truly chose this life. Every morning they stand outside a hardware store with other workers, competing for jobs. One day, along with Hector Cassandra and Tonio, they are hired by a wealthy woman named Elizabeth, who offers them good pay to work at her isolated house. At first she appears polite, but the location feels strange, far from the city, surrounded by an electric fence, with only one controlled entry point. As they begin working on an outdoor structure, small, unsettling signs appear. Memo notices something unusual while drilling, and Elizabeth's behavior slowly becomes colder. Her husband Ben also shows clear irritation toward the workers. When night falls, things take a dark turn. Elizabeth forces them to continue working without rest, treating them as if they are disposable. Her racist mindset becomes obvious as she refuses basic help, threatens them with police, and uses their undocumented status to control them. Soon, the situation turns deadly. When Hector sneaks inside to find a way out, Ben shoots him, and Elizabeth brutally kills him, claiming self-defense. From that moment, the workers realize they are trapped in a horrifying situation. They are forced to clean up the body, dig deep holes like graves, and continue working under constant fear. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Ben act disturbingly normal, even planning to sell the house. It becomes clear they have done this before, luring workers, trapping them, and eliminating them. Their cruelty escalates as they humiliate and torture the remaining men, treating them like objects rather than human beings. Eventually, Memo discovers the electric system controlling the fence and manages to cut the power, giving them a chance to escape. Tonio manages to get out but is shot before he can get help. Memo and Alejandro enter the house to find the keys but are attacked by the couple's dog and then overpowered by Ben. They wake up trapped in a hidden basement beneath the structure they were building. Inside, they discover multiple dead bodies, proof that this has been happening for a long time. Despite injuries, Memo manages to break through the weak ceiling and escape, while Alejandro stays behind due to his condition. Memo reaches outside but is tragically killed by a homeowner who mistakes him for a threat. Back at the house, Alejandro is tortured by Ben but manages to fight back. In a desperate struggle, he kills Ben and sets the property on fire. As the house burns, Alejandro confronts Elizabeth. He forces her to face the truth of what she has done, expressing the pain and anger of people treated as less than human. She tries to trick him, but in the end, he shoots her, finally ending the nightmare. Later, the police arrive and uncover the hidden bodies, exposing the truth behind the couple's crimes, though whether the full story is revealed remains unclear. In the end, Alejandro survives and continues to hold on to his dream of reuniting with his family, while the film highlights the harsh reality of exploitation and suffering faced by undocumented workers. Elizabeth and Ben trapped immigrants, forced them to work, and took their lives without mercy. In the end, Ben's life was ended, and Elizabeth was shot, both meeting a brutal fate. Blackwater Lane opens with Cassandra, a school teacher, leaving work as a storm begins. John Collins offers her a ride, but she drives home alone. On the way, Matthew calls. Cassandra takes a forest shortcut and notices a car parked in the dark with its headlights on. Uneasy, she keeps driving. The next morning, Matthew tells her a woman was killed on Blackwater Lane that night. Shocked, Cassandra hides that she passed the scene. Cassandra is still grieving her mother's death, and Rachel helped her through it. Soon, Cassandra sees a strange man outside her house, but Matthew dismisses it. Rachel later reveals the victim was Jane from their company. Cassandra remembers meeting Jane before, which makes the case feel personal. Disturbed, she asks Matthew to improve security, but silent calls soon begin. Later, Cassandra drives to Blackwater Lane and finds an earring near Jane's memorial. Back home, she feels as if something is forcing her underwater and panics. Soon after, police visit because her car was seen on that road. Cassandra admits she drove through the area but never got out. She explains why she stayed silent. After her mother died, she suffered a breakdown and sometimes imagined things, so she doubted her memory. Stranger events follow. Her student Andrew unexpectedly comes to her house. Cassandra becomes confused over a meeting that never existed. At home, she hears noises, sees shadows, gets trapped in renovation plastic, and nearly suffocates. One night, she hears her dead mother's voice, sees a dark figure, and calls the police, yet when they arrive, everything looks normal. Detective Lawson learns about Cassandra's history and begins doubting her stability. Then more disturbing signs appear. The home security contract contains Cassandra's signature, though she cannot remember signing it. Later, she learns there is a second contract dated for a day when she was out of town. Jane's husband Alex hints Jane may have discovered an affair. A baby stroller is delivered to Cassandra's house, and Matthew says Cassandra once claimed she was pregnant, though she has no memory of that. A doctor warns her she may be showing early signs of dementia like her mother. After that, Cassandra starts hearing voices glasses and seeing frightening images. Lawson later questions her about the earring, Jane's grave, and John, but Cassandra denies any affair. She also reveals the house belongs to her family, not Matthew. Then Sassy tells her Rachel once ruined another marriage, making Cassandra realize Rachel likely knew Jane better than she admitted. A call from the security company confirms the second contract could not have been signed by Cassandra. Finally, Cassandra checks Rachel's secret second phone and uncovers the truth. Rachel and Matthew are having an affair. Jane found out, and Rachel killed her to keep her quiet. Cassandra also realizes the voices, shadows, false memories, and signs of illness were staged to make her seem unstable so Rachel and Matthew could take her property. Heartbroken, Cassandra appears to attempt suicide. Andrew becomes suspicious and police get involved while Matthew pretends to grieve. But when Matthew and Rachel return to recover Rachel's phone, Cassandra's trap is already set. John joins the confrontation, and Rachel loses control. Lawson reveals the full plan. Rachel had known Matthew since university, introduced him to Cassandra, and together they planned to ruin Cassandra's sanity and steal everything. Jane was killed because she learned too much. In the end, Cassandra explains she had found a hidden camera and, with help from John, Lawson, and Andrew, turned the scheme against them. Matthew dies in the final struggle. Rachel is arrested and Cassandra survives, scarred by the betrayal of the two people she trusted most. In the end, the real villains are destroyed by their own greed and deception. Matthew loses his life while Rachel is exposed and sent to prison, giving both of them a chilling and well-deserved downfall. Keeper opens with a haunting pattern across eras. Women in different time periods fall for the same shadowy man, move into his secluded home, and slowly lose everything. He is never fully shown, but their endings are tragic, hinting that one hidden truth links them all. In the present, Liz, a talented artist, travels with her boyfriend Malcolm to a cabin to celebrate their anniversary. On the drive, they seem close, and Malcolm is gentle. After arriving, Liz video calls her friend Maggie, who teases her about Malcolm, and Liz seems happy. The cabin is designed with a few doors and almost no privacy. Liz notices a cake waiting inside. Malcolm says it's a tradition left by a caretaker, yet it unsettles her. He hangs Liz's artwork as an old song plays, turning the moment eerily symbolic. From a window, Liz spots another cabin. Malcolm says his cousin Darren lives there, but assures her Darren is likely away. Still, Liz feels watched. Later, while bathing, she hears humming through a vent. After she draws a heart on the fogged glass, an unseen force traces the same shape from the other side, then vanishes. That night, Darren arrives with a woman named Minka. Darren's rudeness instantly ruins the mood. He claims Minka doesn't speak English, but when he steps out, she tells Liz the cake tastes awful, proving she understood everything. They leave soon after, but the tension stays. Malcolm insists Liz try the cake anyway. She bites, and the strange taste lingers. Liz has disturbing dreams. Drawn downstairs, she eats the cake uncontrollably as eerie visions flash. By morning, Minka is attacked and dragged into the woods by something unseen. Liz begins changing. She can act normal, but something is wrong underneath. On a walk, she sees visions of a pregnant woman from the past and finds an old locket. Soon, Malcolm leaves for work, forcing Liz to stay alone despite her fear. Alone, Liz feels watched. She glimpses what looks like Minka's remains and tells herself it was imagination. After a nap, she wakes to find her clothes disturbed and sees Minka inside the cabin. Minka claims she came from the past and that the children believe Liz is their mother. Liz snaps awake again, unsure what was real. Darren returns, suspicious and prowling. Liz locks herself in the bathroom while he searches. Outside, something invisible takes him. When Liz emerges, he's gone. The nightmare escalates. A bag-headed woman appears, another cake shows up, and a presence hovers just behind her. When Malcolm comes back, Liz demands they leave. Malcolm turns inconsistent, even lying about his patient. Liz's suspicion hardens when she finds an old photograph of Malcolm with a woman identical to the one in her visions. Confronted, Malcolm confesses. 2 centuries earlier, he and Darren captured a mysterious pregnant woman. After she died, her unnatural children granted them immortality. Ever since, they have lured women to the cabin to feed those entities. Liz realizes she was meant to be another sacrifice, but something goes wrong. The creatures recognize her as their mother. Instead of killing her, they accept her. By morning, Malcolm has aged rapidly and wakes hanging helplessly from a tree. Liz, transformed with darkened eyes, approaches calmly and feeds him the same cursed cake. Moments later, he is pulled away and dies. The story ends with the creature's long wait fulfilled. Their mother has returned, and in Liz, they finally found her. Malcolm is punished for his crimes, aging into a helpless old man as the same forces turn on him. In the end, Liz plays her part in bringing his life to a final end. Malicious opens with William McCabe, his wife Lauren, and Lauren's teenage daughter Erin arriving at a remote lake house for a getaway. William is Erin's stepfather and the distance is obvious. She ignores him, complains about the weak signal, and is unsettled when he walks into the bathroom without knocking while she is inside. He dismisses it as an accident. Lauren secretly drinks from a hidden bottle while William complains that even after paying for Erin's college, she still treats him coldly. Elsewhere, a troubled man named Jesse is shown drinking alone. Erin later wanders to the lake for space. Back inside, William corners Lauren in the kitchen and forces himself on her, leaving her devastated. Before the trip even settles, the house is already filled with fear and buried damage. Jesse later shows up saying his car broke down nearby and his phone battery is dead. William does not trust him, but Erin offers her phone. Jesse also asks for a cigarette, and Erin unexpectedly gives him one. After calling a friend for pickup in 90 minutes, Jesse is invited to stay. As thanks, he mixes cocktails for William, Lauren, and Erin, but not for himself. William hesitates, then drinks. During their talk, he reveals he is a governor. Soon the drinks take effect, and all three lose consciousness. They wake up tied to a couch with Jesse in front of them. He says they're going to play a game with 3 questions, and William must answer honestly because Jesse already knows the truth. If he lies, Lauren and Erin will suffer. Jesse closes the curtains, seals the house off, and tells Lauren he could treat her better than William. The first question is whether William was ever accused of sexual misconduct and protected by an out-of-court settlement. William denies it, so Jesse beats him until he admits it is true. Jesse then takes Erin to the bathroom, wipes blood from her face, notices scars on her arms, and learns that William abused her in the past. Before he can react further, Jesse sees 2 men outside, Michael and Gary, who have come to eliminate William and sends them away. Back in the lounge, Jesse asks the second question. Has William cheated on Lauren during their marriage? William admits it, leaving Lauren crushed. Then comes the third. Has he ever forced himself on someone? After more blows, William finally screams yes. William later breaks free and runs into the woods. Jesse chases him with a gun, but Michael and Gary return and interfere. In the fight, Jesse takes Michael's life, beats Gary, and catches William again after he reaches the highway. Back at the house, Jesse ties him down and smashes his legs with a hammer so he cannot escape. Then Michael, still alive, attacks again, but Erin stabs him with a knife. When William orders Erin to turn on Jesse, she turns toward William instead. Jesse calms her, takes her to her room, gives her headphones, and tells her not to listen. Then Jesse asks the real final question. Did William ever assault Erin? Lauren is horrified, but William coldly says Erin is not his real daughter, so it does not matter. That answer seals his fate. The next morning, William is taken to the lake and tied to a heavy rock. Lauren tells him she never loved him and only married him to give Erin a better life. Then the truth comes out. Lauren, Erin, and Jesse planned everything together, and Jesse is actually Erin's biological father and Lauren's ex-husband. He pushes William into the deep lake, ending his life for good. William hurt his own family, and in the end, he faced a dark and fitting end. Night of the Reaper opens on Halloween night in the 1980s. Emily Golding is babysitting Marina and Mark. After putting them to bed, she relaxes downstairs when the garage door suddenly opens by itself. Outside, she finds a dead dog. Back inside, Mark's teddy bear is on the couch with a note reading, "You're pretty." Emily thinks the children are joking, but family photos soon appear scattered across the floor, and another note says, "Be mine." She runs to Marina's room and finds her tied up with a note saying, "Forever." The phone line is dead, the TV flashes, and ever, and a masked intruder attacks Emily. A year later, Emily's sister Dina returns home from college. Sheriff Rodney Arnold also finds a box containing a garage remote. Rodney, living alone with his son Max after losing his wife, believes it is a message from Emily's killer. Hattie, Dina's best friend, becomes ill and asks Dina to babysit Max instead. Meanwhile, Rodney and Officer Butch test the remote at the Golding house. Another box arrives at the station with a VHS tape showing a camper being stalked and murdered. Rodney realizes it proves Connor Davis, whose death in the woods 2 years earlier had been ruled an accident, was actually murder. Rodney and Butch return to the woods and meet Forest Service officer Elizabeth Talbot. There they find another tape showing part of Emily's final night. A license plate in the footage leads them to Chad's van, but they still cannot hold him. Rodney later breaks into Willis's apartment, finds another tape, and takes him in. This tape reveals Rodney's wife was not lost in a car crash, but murdered by the same person. Furious, Rodney threatens Willis, but Willis says he only passed along the tapes. At Rodney's house, Dina bonds with Max during hide and seek. As the night turns stranger, she spots movement near the back door, finds another dead dog outside, hears noises in the house, sees Rodney's late wife's wedding dress in the basement, basement and notices photos and clippings that were not there before. When Rodney's locked office is suddenly open with a broken window, Dina finally calls the police. But Dina has prepared for the killer. When the masked figure slips into Max's room, she uses a recorded voice to lure the intruder downstairs and shocks them with a taser. Once the attacker is tied to a chair, she unmasks them. Elizabeth Talbot. Dina reveals that after Emily's funeral, she followed Elizabeth, discovered her hidden tapes and diary, and learned Hattie and Max were next. She made Hattie sick so she could take the babysitting job, moved Max to safety, mailed the tapes to Rodney, and staged a fake bomb threat to pull police away. During the final confrontation, Dina shoots Elizabeth in the leg, but Chad appears and reveals he has been Elizabeth's partner all along, seeing the murders as art. When he grabs Dina's planted walkie-talkie, it explodes and kills him. Elizabeth then captures Dina, injures her legs, and forces her to watch Emily's final moments. Just before Elizabeth can finish her, Rodney arrives. Elizabeth tries to blame Dina, then lunges with a knife, and Rodney shoots her dead. Afterward, Rodney frees Dina and understands why she arranged everything so he would witness the truth himself. Together, they place the remaining evidence with Chad's body at Elizabeth's house and hide what really happened. In the end, Emily's funeral is shown again, and Dina's grief hardens into grim satisfaction. The film closes as a story of sorrow, obsession, and revenge. Elizabeth's fate becomes the final proof that this time, Dina did not let the monster walk away.